Hello there and welcome to Old Man Gaming and Kerbal's space program Realism Overhaul. Now if you've been following my live streams you'll know that I am new to the Realism Overhaul mod and I'm learning as I go. Now the purpose of this series is to take what I have learned and to do short tutorials on how to complete the various missions found in the Realism Overhaul mod. I hope you find them instructive. Please feel free to join me in my live streams and don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe. Okay, so here we are in the mission control section of Kerbal Space Program. If you've just started a new game, you should only have the one mission available to you, which is first launch. If you do have a few, what you want to do is just come back out and then go back in, and then if there are more, they should all be gone, and we should just have the one available. So if we click on first launch, it's a very simple mission. Really all it wants us to do is to reach 1,000 meters with our first launch, but I'll show you a rocket that I designed. Or I didn't design it, I followed a tutorial, so I'm going to show you that rocket that I built following a tutorial, and you will actually be able to collect some science using this rocket, and we'll be going a lot further than the 1,000 meters. Also, we'll probably complete some of these active missions that are automatically given to you. We won't be doing anything that has crew, but we will be doing uncrewed altitude record of 10. Now once you break the uncrewed record of 10, you get 20, 30, 40 and so on. So we'll be breaking a few contracts there, and obviously our speed as well, we'll be completing a few. So these all give money. Yep, he agrees with me, they all give money. So we should be getting quite a bit of money from the start. Now I'm playing on normal mode, and you'll probably, if you have launched it for the first time, you'll have a little bit more money there than I have. What I basically did was I put some money into the research and development and the VAB straight away, because we don't need that much money right at the beginning. So let's just click on first launch here, and we'll accept the contract, and we'll come out of here, and this is where I went into down the bottom here. If you look and go into here, you make sure you want to have RP-1 settings. Now if you haven't got the RP-1 settings yourself on here, you can just create them by going on custom and adding these settings here. Just follow what I've got on screen. Just pause the video if you want and just put these settings in. Make sure you save and accept so that it uses these settings. That way Crash isn't going to eat into all your money. Now in regards to the not the RP-1, sorry, it's the build. I just went into upgrade and I spent, you should have 1 point available. I spent 40,000 funds. I put 2 points into VAB, 1 point into research and development. Okay, and that will increase your research and development speeds. Now if we have a look at research and development, we don't have any sciences yet to spend, but we do have starting parts. Sorry, my machine's just a little bit laggy. There we go. We do have starting parts, and these are contracts. Oh, nothing contracts there yet. Okay, so we do have some starting parts to begin with. So we'll just go straight into the vertical assembly building. Okay, so when your vertical assembly building loads up, you should see got it here. Just get rid of that, we'll never see that again. Right, so starting with pods, we want to use the WAC Corporal sounding rocket telemetry. This is what I used anyway. Which we have there now. I didn't do it in this order in my live stream, but we'll do it this way. We'll just go straight to the science. Take a barometer, put the barometer on, take a thermometer and put a thermometer on as well. go up into move, click on it, and just move them inside the Whack Corporal like that. And then they should just both be inside it there, just so they're not on the outside. Okay, come off move. Next, we want to go into our fuel tanks. We have the procedural tank here. So we just want to put one of those underneath and change its shape. I always change its shape to smooth cone, and I do peat. And we want to change it to 300 and 300 bottom, 300 millimeter, to match the dimensions of the Whack Corporal. There we go. Now, we'll leave the length for a moment, but we'll be coming back to the length shortly. But Control J, Alt click on that and put one on top as well, and change the top diameter to 0. Okay. Now underneath that we want to put an engine. Just put the Aerobie engine. Then right click on the Aerobie engine. There's a couple of things here that we need to have a look at. So first off, this is a pressure fed engine. Propellant needs high pressure tanks. So if we right click on our tank, we want to change this to HP high pressure. Now at this stage you'll only have the stainless steel tank available for you, but change that to high pressure and make sure we do the same for the top. Now obviously if you'd done that before we duplicated this, then you wouldn't have to do it to the top, because it would just copy it across. Now the other thing that we can look at on this engine is its burn time. It has a 47-second burn time, so 47 plus 7 is 54. So it actually has a burn time of 54 seconds. You can generally add 7 seconds to whatever time you see here. So 47 add 7 takes it up to a burn time of 54. Now if we go on to our Kerbal Engineer Redux here, and if we make sure that we add the fuel that we need, which should be listed here underneath, you just click this button here and automatically add it. Now you'll see we've got a burn time of 18.1 seconds. So to increase that burn time, all we have to do is just increase the length. And I believe if we do 1,500, was it? At the bottom. And 1,500 at the top, you'll see that we have burn time of 54.2 seconds. There we go. Okay. I'm just trying to remember if that's all we need to do with the engines. Right, one other thing we need to do. So, fuel flow. So we want the engine in the bottom to be used first, and then we want the engine in the top tank to be used second. So to do that, we just decrease the number here. So the lower the number, the lower the priority of the tank. So the higher the number, the higher the priority. So this tank will be used first, this tank will be used second. Right, underneath that then we want to add a decoupler. Let's use the procedural one set its diameter to 300 to match. I find actually I prefer doing it this way now. So do again smooth cone. Take impulse down to as low as it can go. Bring this down to, I think it's 200 for the top, and then 300 from the bottom, and we want a length of 100. And we want to bring force percent down, we want impulse down, we want both of these down to 0. Next we go to our engines and we find the Tiny Tim booster. Might need to scroll down. Put the Tiny Tim booster under the decoupler. As such, like that. We want to put the engine here. Now they recommend, well, I'll get to it in a minute actually, when we go to launch I'll discuss that, but let's keep going. So make sure you look at your staging over here. Okay, now I would actually Alt-J, Alt-click this and just put a second one underneath and change the top to 300. Like that. So you've actually got 2 boosters here. And just make sure you've got your staging correctly. This is just so we achieve maximum altitude as we can with this rocket. And then finally underneath that we want to go to our structural and add a clamp. I like to... No, we don't need to move. Just leave it like that. And that should be on its own. Not on its own, sorry. It should be in conjunction with that. So this is how I'm going to do my staging. The tutorials actually suggest that you do this rocket, you ignite this rocket at the same time that you ignite this rocket. But I don't think that's completely necessary with this design. I think we'll have enough G-forces to keep the fuel pushed down so we don't get the dreaded air intake. But anyway, last but not least we do need to put some fins on, so we just go to aerodynamics here. We want to use the B9 procedural wing early. It's going to be quite large when you attach it, so just put it on there. Put your mouse over the top of it, press the letter J. And then you just want to play around with these settings until you get like a swept fin look. So length we're going to set at 0.2. It is a bit fiddly. You're going to have really good mouse work. Width will be 0.05, which I think is the lowest you can go. That's width root. Width top also 0.05. Offset will be 0.315, so that's just slightly down. Thickness at the root is 0.05. Thickness at the tip is also 0.05. And our leading edge, we want a rounded with a 0.165 width and a tip of 0.095. And trailing, we want a biconvex trailing shape. We want width of 0.095 and width of 0.045. And you can save as default if you click on that. Okay. So we want to put 4 of those on. So remove put it back on. We don't want the bottom of the fin to go below the bottom of the bell. Now if we just like to try and get it so it's straight. Very, very fiddly. There we go. That's just personal preference. I don't think it really matters, but anyway. Now if we hold the Alt key down and we duplicate them, and we can put them there again, and Alt click duplicate again, and then put them on the bottom, but I put them a little higher on the bottom one so it's not interfering with the clamp. Well, okay. And if we right click on the fins, we can just change this down to 0.2 just to reduce the mass. 0.2. And with the bottom one, you may be able to get away with 0.15 even more, because that's when it will be at its least. And then I like to go into move, click, bring the rocket down so it's closer to the ground here. But you can turn this off now. Down. There we go. So this is our first rocket, and we'll probably reuse this rocket for our second one, so make sure you name it. I called it SR1, sounding rocket. SR1. So add it to the, I mean, you can, I'm not going to sim it, but I would recommend going into sim mode and just simming the rocket. I'm not going to sim it. I think it'll work just fine the way it is. So you want to add it to the launch queue. This part still contains the unlock 9 parts for 6 funds and build vessel. Okay. And if you bring up your launch queue now, it should be there. Now it's going to take 85 days. So one of the steps that we didn't forget was we want to tool all. If we click on tool all, and underneath that you'll see this, purchase all toolings for 1,600, and that has cut the time down to 62 days. So make sure you tool, whenever you create a new part with a different diameter, make sure you tool it. If we are going to use these tanks again with the same diameter, we won't need to tool them in the future, and the production cost will actually be rather cheap. If we increase the diameter size of the tank in the future, which we will be doing, we'll have to then retool it. The length doesn't matter, it's the diameter that matters when it comes to tooling. Right, so if we come out of here, just save, or just cancel actually, just save my rocket here. Check our staging. I said this is how I'm going to stage it, but they do actually recommend that you put the rocket in with this one and stage them both at the same time, but I just think we don't need to do that. My personal preference, and I think you'll find less failures will happen if you don't do that. So let's leave. I said I'm going to risk it without simming it, but if I was you, definitely simulate your rocket. Okay, so when you have come out of the VAB, you will see up here our vessel 85 knots. So we just want to warp to complete. And then we want to roll it out. The first rollout always takes a long time. So we want to warp to complete there. And we don't want to be launching in the dark, so we just then speed up the time a little bit. There we go. And then if we can click on the launch button, it will take us to the launch pad. Okay, so here's our rocket on the launch pad. First thing we want to do is we want to go to our science. Click on the rocket, click on auto, and make sure we turn all of our science on. So that's the barometers, telemetry, and the thermometer that we added to the WAC Kerbal right at the beginning. Next, we want to just make sure we've got our throttle up. Just press the letter Z and that'll throttle up the aerobie engine that we added. And it's really just a question of going 3, 2, 1, launch, stage, stage. And then we just follow the rocket all the way to the top. Don't worry too much about those explosions below us. We should start earning science over here, and it will automatically transmit the science because of the WAC Kerbal has a built-in antenna and transmits the science. And we've broken past 100, and if we're really lucky we'll get past 140, which we have done, and we're going to achieve an altitude of 175 on our first launch. So let's just speed it up a little bit. And we won't be recovering this rocket. This is basically just going to fall to the earth and explode on impact. So we reached 175. Start falling back down again. And probably come down a lot quicker than it went up. Not all of the rocket will reach the earth ground. A lot of it will actually, you'll probably find that the fins, the engine, and this bottom tank will probably explode before we reach the ground. Let's just go into normal time, follow it down. There we go, there the fins going. To be honest, we've actually completed the mission at this point. Our first launch, we went way past 1,000 meters. So if this rocket was to blow up, then we'd still completed our first mission. And we've actually had 19 contracts. So we reached uncrewed speed record of 350, first launch completed, speed record 600, uncrewed altitude of 10, 20, 30. Uncrewed speed record of 1200, 40, 50, 60, 80. These are all the different contracts that we automatically completed when we did that rocket. And so now if we go back to the Space Center, and click on Mission Control, you should see that we no longer have that mission, and it has now successfully completed in here, and we've received lots of new funds, and we've got even 7.8 science as well. which you can then use on research and development to start unlocking the new tabs here. Now I would do it with post-war testing first, research that, and then do post-war materials second. Early tracking system third. If you wish. Now, I've been putting stuff into supersonic plane just because, you know, to keep, you know, in line with, you know, real, what it maybe would have been developing in real world. But it's up to you. I generally try and go along and do them in the order that they appear. So, but it's really up to you what you do with the science here. Once you've done that, I've still got 3 left. So we've got 2 we can put back into early rocketry there. And we've got 1 early solid rocket there. Okay, and they all take time to develop. You might want to, once again, just spend some money. I like to keep around 10,000. So we've spent 60,000 there, and we take the 3 points that we've learned and we can put them into research and development. Put 2 points into research and development, put another 1 into them, just to keep these even. I want to try and keep these even here. So we've got total science of 7, and our research and development times will speed up slightly. But that's it. That's our first launch. It's that easy. It took me 3 hours to do all of that in my very first stream, learning how to do that. So that's why I wanted to create these little tutorial videos, because it doesn't need to take that long to learn. Once you know how to do it, it's very quick. So anyway, I hope you've enjoyed that, and I hope you join me again for the next video in the series where we'll be looking at the second contract. Until then, have a good one. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and I will see you later. Bye bye.